Hare Krishna and welcome to all the devotees for our Kartik month special. So today we're going to continue and complete our Harikatha from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 10. Of course, it's not possible for us to look at all of the pastimes of the Lord in Canto 10. So we will finish probably about little more than 1/3 of the chapters that are there in Canto 10. So we were talking about the different demons and what they represent. Yesterday, we talked about how Nanda Maharaj was swallowed by the snake and how Krishna saved his life. So this particular snake and this particular pastime, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that it indicates that impersonalism is not the right path, and reinstitution of Krishna consciousness is the victory that Krishna establishes by rescuing Nanda Maharaj from the mouth of the snake. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, rescuing the truth of Krishna consciousness from being swallowed by the impersonalist. So the snake here represents impersonalism, and being rescued from the mouth of the snake is representing the reinstitution of Krishna consciousness. We also talked about the Lord killing the demon Shankachuda, who tried to kidnap all of the gopis. And the Lord chases Shankachuda while Balaram is protecting the gopis. He kills the demon and gets the jewel and hands over the jewel to Lord Balaram. What does this particular pastime represent? The eagerness for name and fame, and also the desire to enjoy our senses, but doing this as a devotee. That was what the deeper meaning of this particular pastime is that we are chanting the holy names of the Lord and we are trying to be nice devotees, but in the process we are also desiring name, fame, success, and of course sensual enjoyment. So that is what the killing of Shankachuda represents. Then Krishna kills Arishtasura, the bull demon. And here this represents that when one practices false religion and one develops pride as a result of it, this false religion that is instituted by many cheaters, and because you neglect real bhakti or real dharma, so this Arishtasura represents false, pretentious religions that actually cheats you of devotional service to Sri Krishna. Then the Lord kills the horse demon called Keshi, because Kamsa personally calls Keshi and says, you go, take care of these two boys. And if that doesn't work, we'll invite them to Mathura under the guise of some great grand festival, and we'll destroy them. So the Keshi demon represents the feeling that I am a great devotee and I am a great guru. That is what this horse demon represents. So definitely this is an indication for devotees to be very careful. The pride that I am doing so nicely as a devotee and I am preaching so nicely, I'm a great spiritual master. These are all significant spiritual violations, right? It will take away your bhakti from you. Then Krishna kills Vyomasura, the demon that comes as a cowherd boy, playing games with Krishna and Balaram and all of the Gopas. So this particular demon, because the children were actually playing a game of thieves and robbers, so this particular demon represents us associating with unsavory people who put themselves forward as avatars. So people who may say, I am an avatar of the Lord, falsely, associating with such people represents this anartha of this demon in the sky. So today we will continue with our pastimes. Akrura has come. He has been sent by Kamsa to give a particular message. The message is a great festival is being organized in Mathura. Invite Nanda Maharaj and all of the Vrajavasis. Ask them to bring a lot of nice foodstuff items, cows, donations, etc. And we will organize a nice wrestling match. So there'll be a nice carnival going on. Let them come and see how great a king I am and how wonderful and beautiful the city of Mathura is. So Akrura comes to Vrindavan. He sees the footprints of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna and goes into ecstasy. And then he sees the Lord along with Balaram taking care of the cows, milking the cows as well. And then later on, Krishna and Balaram greet him very affectionately. They ask him how he is doing. Was his yatra very comfortable? And then Balaram sits him on a nice seat, washes the feet of Akrura, gives him nice foodstuff. And then Nanda Maharaj asks him, how is Kamsa? He's this merciless character. I feel ashamed to even ask, how is he doing? Because he's such a terrible character. Like this, Akrura was welcomed very nicely by Krishna, Balaram, and Nanda Maharaj. So after Akrura has had good rest, now Krishna begins to speak to him. And this particular details are there in chapter 39 of the 10th canto. So Krishna asks Akrura, how is Kamsa doing? How is he treating his relatives and friends? And exactly what is his plan? So the Lord also asks the same question that Nanda Maharaj has asked. So in that process, the Lord tells Akrura, see how much suffering I have caused my parents. My parents didn't do anything wrong. Because of me, my mother Devaki, all her sons were killed. Not only that, both my father and mother were imprisoned because of me. See, I have caused them so much suffering. And because of our good fortune, we had the ability to see you. So tell us why you are here and how we can help you. So Akrura first gives the message that Kamsa had asked him to convey to Krishna, Balaram, and specifically to Nanda Maharaj. And then later on, Akrura tells him the real reason Kamsa had sent him and what is Kamsa's plan for Krishna. So when Akrura describes what all Kamsa is planning to do, both Krishna and Balaram start laughing. They just laugh because of the audacity of Kamsa's plans to kill not just Krishna and Balaram, but also Vasudeva and Devaki. And not only that, but to kill his own father, Ugrasena. So after hearing this, Krishna tells Nanda Maharaj, here is Kamsa's orders. He has asked us, all of us, to come there to collect all nice items, nice gifts, and let us start our journey to Mathura. So Nanda Maharaj instructs all of the cowherd men to prepare for the next following day to leave for Mathura. And they will gift the king all of these nice items. They will see a wonderful, beautiful festival organized for them in Mathura. And everybody should go. Nobody should stay back. So the gopis hear that Akrura had come to take Krishna and Balaram to this big city called Mathura. And immediately they become distressed. They feel deep pain and anxiety, thinking they're not going to be able to see the Lord anymore if he goes to Mathura. And they begin to have a conversation among themselves. And just as lovers may fault their beloved for certain things, because they were experiencing such anxiety, they start talking about Krishna. Just look at him. He has no mercy. So easily he's ready to reject us, and he's always toying around with us. We've given ourselves to him. But look at his behavior. He's ready to abandon us. Why? Because he's going to go see the city girls in Mathura. The city girls are far more sophisticated. They will know how to treat him very nicely. They are all simple village folks. So look at this Krishna. He's going to Mathura. He's going to abandon us, abandon our friendship and our love. And he's going to go to Mathura because the ladies in Mathura are far more sophisticated than us. And now the ladies of Mathura will receive his benediction. And he's going to fall for the sweet words of the women of Mathura. He's going to be enchanted by their wonderful dress and attire and their smiles. After all, we are unsophisticated village girls. So definitely Krishna will be more attracted to the women in Mathura. So like this, they are having a conversation among themselves. A little bit of distress, a little bit of irritation that Krishna is going to go to Mathura and see women who are far better than them. So like this, the gopis are thinking, everybody is getting ready to leave and nobody is bothered to stop Krishna from leaving Rajabhumi. None of the cowherd men are making any such effort. As a matter of fact, they are all going along with him. And who is this person, Akrura? He should change his name because he's doing the most wicked thing to us. He is bringing about so much cruelty into our lives. And look at him, he's not even bothered to console us that Krishna is being taken away by him. Does he not know that Krishna is our life itself? He's so hard-hearted. Certainly, the name Akrura doesn't befit him. And look at this hard-hearted Krishna. He is eagerly mounting the chariot. And look at all these foolish cowherd men. They are just hurriedly following him without even thinking for a second that they're not going to have his association anymore. This is our fate. Fate is working against us. And so they think, maybe it is better we approach Krishna directly and petition him that he should not go to Mathura. Our families are not supporting us. The elders are not supporting us. So our fate is in our hands and we should do our best to prevent Krishna from going to Mathura. And so what do? It is not appropriate for women to go and talk to Krishna directly. And therefore, they simply cry out his names. And what do they say? They say, hey Madhava, hey Govinda, hey Damodara. They cry out loudly to the Supreme Lord. But Krishna doesn't say anything. He's just boarded the chariot. Akrura seems to be very busy that early morning. And Krishna is aware that the gopis are crying out for him. And he simply looks at them and leaves. And the gopis are en masse following the bullock carts until they could no longer see the flag on top of the chariot that Akrura had come in. They were hoping that he would give them some instruction, but later on, Krishna sends a messenger with a very loving promise to the gopis saying, certainly I will return. So what did the gopis do? The gopis didn't go to Mathura. Only the menfolk went to Mathura. And of course, Nanda Maharaj also goes along with Krishna and Balaram. So Shukadeva Goswami writes in one of the shlokas that the gopis sent their minds after Krishna. Physically, they stood in Rajabhumi like statues. Their life itself had left them, but their minds followed Krishna. So slowly, the gopis return back home. They are full of sorrow, and they don't know what to do. They feel that they have been cheated, that Krishna has abandoned them. So very quickly, the chariot arrives on the outskirts of Mathura. And by the river Yamuna, everybody steps off the chariot. Krishna does prokshna, and then he drinks some water from the Yamuna river. And they move the chariot into a grove of trees. And Akrura tells them, please wait before we enter the city. I'm going to take a quick bath. So taking the permission of the Lord, Akrura steps into a small pool by the river Yamuna, and he takes a dip in the Yamuna river this way. And while he's reciting the mantras and takes a dip in the Yamuna river, he sees Krishna and Balaram before him, under the water. And Akrura thinks, how can they be standing before him underwater? Because he had just asked them to be seated in the chariot. He will take a quick bath and come out. So he comes out of the water and looks over to the chariot, and Krishna and Balaram are seated there. So he thinks, what's happening to me? Is this an illusion? So he re-enters the river and goes under the water. And there he sees Krishna and Balaram. How does he see them? He sees this beautiful Anantashesha, the Lord of the serpents, being glorified by the Siddhas and Gandharvas. All of them had their heads bowed. So Anantashesha had thousands of heads and thousands of hoods and thousands of helmets and thousands of jewelry decorating each of those heads. And Anantashesha was dressed in blue garment, white in complexion. And Shukadeva Goswami says that to Akrura, he looked like this giant Kailash mountain with its many, many peaks. And now he has taken darshan of Anantashesha, and what does he see? Krishna lying peacefully on Anantashesha. And what is Krishna's complexion? Like a dark blue cloud. Krishna was dressed in yellow garments, but here he had 4 arms and lotus-like petal eyes. And so Akrura is taking this beautiful darshan under the water of Anantashesha and the Lord. He was just an absolute bliss. So as he steps out of the water, he is experiencing ecstasy. And in the following chapter, which is chapter number 40, he glorifies the Lord. So we're not going to go into the glorification today because that is almost 30 verses of glorification. Actually, Akrura is praying to the Lord, telling the Lord that he is the cause of all causes and why he is the most worshipable personality of Godhead. So in the following chapter, in chapter number 41, in chapter 41, it begins with Krishna talking to Akrura, and Krishna says, did you see anything special in the water, on the land, in the air? Because the way you look, your countenance suggests you have seen something wonderful. To which Akrura says, whatever wonderful things the earth, sky, or water contain, all of them exist in you, my dear Lord. And since you encompass everything, when I am seeing you, what have I not seen? So when you see Krishna, you've seen everything. So Akrura very expertly responds to Krishna's query, did you see anything special? So he says, now that I have seen you, what else is there to see? You are the most amazing thing that one can see. So saying this, Akrura boards the chariot and they want to enter Mathura. But Krishna says, no, we will stay on the outskirts because we are a big caravan of Rajavasis who have come. We will stay out tonight outside Mathura. So Akrura actually tells the Lord, why don't you come to my house and stay with me, because that will be the greatest benediction for me and my wife. And Krishna says, I will do that. I will certainly take up your offer, but not right now. But not right now. So Krishna tells Akrura, you please go ahead, enter the city. We will not enter Mathura right now. And Akrura, feeling very dejected that the Lord had not taken up his offer, he leaves and enters the city. And he goes straight to Kamsa and says, mission is successful. Krishna and Balaram are here. And the minute Kamsa hears this, his heart is thundering with anxiety. And Kamsa begins to think, death has come on my doorstep. So that late that night, Krishna decides, let us all enter Mathura. So he takes Lord Balaram along with all the cowherd boys and enters the city. And Krishna is observing everything in Mathura, how beautiful it is, such beautiful houses, such broad streets, so many gardens, so many parks. All of the houses are huge mansions, so many peacocks. Floors are studded with gems. Everything is looking so beautiful, so ornate. So much wealth is there in Mathura. Everything, because a festival has been organized, everything has been decorated so nicely. Flags were flying, pots with nice flowers were kept everywhere. Lamps were burning outside. Banana stems were placed, decorating every single household. And so the women of Mathura, who had heard about all of the pastimes of the Lord in Brajabhumi, are anxious to see Krishna and Balaram. So some of them climb to the terrace of their houses so that they can see the Lord personally. And they were so anxious when they heard that Krishna and Balaram are entering the city of Mathura. They are in a great deal of hurry. They abandon all activities that they were engaged in, whether they were having a meal, or they were feeding their child, or they were dressing up, or they were just getting ready to sleep, or they were feeding their husbands. Whatever it was, the women dropped everything just so that they could take darshan of Krishna. And they begin talking among themselves, saying, see, this is the boy that we heard about. See, he killed Putana, he killed Shakatashura, and see how nicely he is walking. And Krishna was glancing at them and smiling at them. And of course, this causes even more bliss for the women of Mathura. Their affection for the Lord grew above and beyond their affection for him after hearing all of his pastimes. So whatever Krishna did in Gokul and Vrajadham, the Mathura Vasis knew all the pastimes. How they knew, we don't know. So the Brahmanas also were there. They were offering the Lord obeisances. And the women say, see how great the gopis are. They were able to see Krishna and Balaram every day. These two personalities who are the source of all pleasure for mankind, they were able to take darshan of the Lord every day. And as the Lord, along with Balaram and the boys, are walking into Mathura, they see a washerman. And he's dyeing some clothes. He's washing some clothes. So Krishna approaches him and he says, please give us some suitable garments. You know, we have come from the village and we are entering a city. So our desire is to have some nice clothes. And Krishna tells this washerman, if you give both of us these nice garments, we will give you the greatest benediction in return. That's all the Lord said. Give us these clothes in return. Both of us will benedict you and you will benefit from this benediction. But this washerman was a little bit arrogant. He becomes angry. He tells the boys, you two are so impudent. You are so accustomed to roaming around in the forests and the mountains and the hills. You wear simple clothes. And you dare to ask for luxurious clothes, you village boys? Don't you know all of this belongs to the king? And you have the temerity to ask for something that belongs to the king? You better get out of here quickly before Kamsa finds out that you have dared to ask for his clothes, that you have come here to steal his property. You will be arrested and killed. So the washerman was quite brazen in how he spoke to Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna becomes very angry. So he just uses his fingertips and chops off the washerman's head, separates the washerman's head from his body. Seeing this, the washerman's assistants, they are just so shocked that Krishna killed their associate. Whatever activities they were engaged in, cleaning the clothes, they just dropped it and run away. Krishna then takes these clothes. He and Balaram put on a pair of garments that they really liked. And Krishna takes the rest of the clothes and tells the coward boys, go ahead, dress yourself up very nicely. These are all very luxurious clothes. We don't dress like this in Rajabhumi. We've come to a great city. Go ahead, take all the clothes and dress yourselves up. And then, as the Lord is continuing to walk now fully dressed in luxurious silk clothes, a weaver comes forward. This weaver feels a great deal of affection for the Lord, and he wants to give the Lord something from what he had created. And he offers the Lord some of the items that he had made. And Krishna tells him, this will be your last life. Because of your own free will, you've come and offered me something that you have made. And while you continue to reside in this life, in this body, Krishna tells this weaver, you will have a lot of wealth. You will be very successful. But at the end of this life, you will come back to me. Then Krishna and Balaram step into the house of a garland maker called Sudama. So this is not the same Sudama. So when Sudama comes to see that the lordships had entered his house, he immediately bows down and puts his head on the lotus feet of the Supreme God. He offers them seats, bathes their lotus feet, worships them with a lot of nice items, and he asks the Lord, my dear Lord, you have benedicted my family by visiting my house, and I feel so blessed by your presence here. I know my forefathers are also going to be benedicted. I know great sages are waiting to see you, but you have given me this special benediction. Please tell me how I can serve you. You are my well-wisher. And the Lord says, well, I'd like some of the garlands that you've made. And hearing the Lord's request for the garlands, Sudama decorates both Krishna and Balaram with many, many garlands made of fresh, fragrant flowers. And now Krishna and Balaram had their flowers, they had their nice clothes, and they benedict Sudama, and they continue walking into Mathura. Now, in the next chapter, which is chapter number 42, Krishna continues to meet others in Mathura. So there's this hunchback woman. She's very beautiful, but she was doubled over because of a physical condition. She was carrying a tray of nice, fragrant ointments. And Krishna says, "Oh, beautiful one, who are you? Ah, you're carrying so many nice ointments. Who is this for? And tell us, who are you taking this for? And will you give us some of these ointments? Because it will be very wonderful. We'll enjoy having some ointments applied on our bodies." So to which this Kupja says, "Oh, handsome one, I am actually the servant of King Kamsa. These ointments that I have made actually belong to you." And she introduces herself. She says her name is Trivakra. So she is enchanted by the beauty of Krishna, and she applies ointments on Krishna's body and Balaram's body and gives them ointments, these fragrant ointments. They are like cosmetics, you know. So Krishna and Balaram were looking very, very beautiful. So she was so attracted to the Supreme Lord, she tells the Lord, "Why don't you come to my house? I would like to satisfy you." So Krishna just smiles, and he benedicts her by putting his 2 lotus feet on her 2 feet and his 2 forefingers under her chin. And he just gently raises her chin, and she loses her hunchback. So she becomes upright. So Krishna benedicted this Trivakra by transforming her into this exquisitely beautiful woman who is straight and looks very, very beautiful. So like this, Krishna benedicted this Trivakra. Krishna does not visit her house at this time. He just says, "I will fulfill your promise at a later time. I will come by, I will stop by." So speaking such sweet words, Krishna walks further down, and all of the Mathuravasis are taking darshan of the Lord. And Krishna then asks them, "Okay, we heard that there is a big arena or stadium being set up where the bow sacrifice is going to take place and the wrestling match is going to take place. Can you direct us to where this arena is?" And the Mathuravasis tell him, "Yes, in this direction you go, you will see a huge stadium being constructed." And so Krishna, this bow was protected by Kamsa's servants and soldiers. So Krishna just steps into this place where the opulent bow was guarded. And without any permission, the guards try to stop him, but Krishna simply picks up the bow, strings it, and breaks the bow into 2. Immediately, the guards attack Krishna and Balaram. So Krishna takes 1/2 of the bow, and Balaram takes the other half of the bow, and they kill all of the guards who attack them. That's it. Their life was ended right then and there. So having killed all the soldiers, they leave this sacrificial arena where this bow was placed, and they walk into the city looking very, very happy. Now, the others who had witnessed this pastime were just amazed. They thought, 2 demigods have come to visit us. So like this, Krishna and Balaram are walking deep into the city. And after that, they were worshipped by some of the Mathuravasis. Their feet were bathed, and they were offered some nice rice and milk, kheer, etc. Meantime, Kamsa is thinking, "I can't sleep. He's experiencing all of these bad omens. So when he looks at his reflection in the mirror, he could not see his head. When he sees the moons and stars, he sees double vision. When he sees his shadow, the shadow had a hole in it. It looked like death was approaching him, and he was terrified at the prospect of dying at the hands of Krishna. So that whole night, Kamsa couldn't sleep. But word had spread that Krishna had broken the bow effortlessly. He had killed his soldiers. And I was thinking, what's going to happen to me? So the following day, Kamsa wakes up, dresses up very nicely, and he goes into the stadium that had been constructed for this wrestling match. He takes his seat at the very top of the dais, and all of his ministers are surrounding him, but his heart is thundering with fear. And now the wrestling match had been organized, music was playing, and there were 5 wrestlers who were seated, ready to wrestle. This is Chanura, Mushtika, Kuta, Shala, and Toshala. So Nanda Maharaj and all of the Mathura Vasis who had come with Krishna and Balaram enter the stadium the following morning. And what is the first thing Nanda Maharaj does? All the gifts that he had brought for Kamsa, he walks up to the dais and hands over all of the gifts to Kamsa, along with all of the cowherd men. And then Krishna enters. And as he is entering the arena, there is a giant elephant blocking the way. This elephant is called Kuvalaya Pida. And Krishna very gently asks the keeper of the elephant, can you move your elephant aside? I want to enter the arena. To which the keeper says no, and he instigates the elephant to attack Krishna and Balaram. So the elephant begins to attack Krishna and Balaram, and a pastime ensues where Krishna pretends to slip away, pretends to fall on the ground, so that he enrages the elephant even more. But finally, Krishna conquers the elephant. He removes one tusk out of the elephant and is holding it on top of his shoulder. Balaram removes the other tusk and he is holding it on top of his shoulder, and they enter the arena. And Shukadev Goswami describes how the lordships are looking. Each one of them is carrying this huge tusk on their shoulder. Their faces and their garments are splattered with the blood of the elephant. Perspiration is beaded Krishna's eyebrows and Balaram's eyebrows. But they looked so beautiful, even with the blood being splattered on their clothes. So each one of them was carrying their elephant tusks, and they entered the arena along with the cowherd boys. And now Shukadev Goswami describes, because it's a huge stadium that has been constructed, Shukadev Goswami describes how each of the Mathura Vasis are experiencing Krishna. The wrestlers who were seated there waiting for Krishna and Balaram, they saw him as a lightning bolt. The women were seeing Krishna and Balaram as if they were Cupid. Yeah. All the kings that Kamsa had invited, they were seeing Krishna and Balaram as being ready to chastise them. His own parents were there, Vasudev and Devaki. They were thinking, this is my tender child. I have not been able to protect my child. That is what Vasudeva and Devaki were thinking. So like this, different personalities were experiencing Krishna and Balaram very differently. Now that Kamsa understood that even this giant of an elephant, this mad elephant, was so easily killed by Krishna. He is thinking, what is going to happen now? So the wrestling match begins. After everybody had taken darshan of the Lord. And it is interesting because Shukadev Goswami, for several shlokas, describes the thought process of the women who were there to witness this wrestling match. And the women were thinking, how unfair is this? These two boys are so tender, so slender. What kind of adharma is this that they have to fight with these giant men like Chanura and Mushtika? See how much adharma has taken over our city. The unfairness of everything is being witnessed right before our eyes. This great personality who had done so much to protect the Vrajavasis is now being forced to fight someone who is not his size. So the gopis, or rather the women in Mathura, were thinking like this. How unfair it is that these two young boys, tender boys, they look so thin, they are being asked to fight these great wrestlers. So anyway, the wrestling match begins. And Krishna, actually Chanura addresses Krishna first. He looks at Krishna and Balaram and he says, you may look like children, but I don't think you are children. Because I just witnessed how you killed that elephant. So you may look like you are in the body of a child, but you are perfectly capable of fighting with us. So Chanura says, so both of you should fight all of us 5 wrestlers. There's nothing unfair about it because we've witnessed your power. But now we want to see you demonstrate that same power against me. So Chanura says, Krishna, let us fight. And Balaram, you please fight Mushtika. So the wrestling match begins. And this is described in the next chapter, chapter 44. So all the wrestlers have been killed. And now Kamsa is furious. So after all the 5 wrestlers have been killed by Krishna and Balaram, Krishna and Balaram begin rejoicing in the stadium. Along with all of the boys, they are dancing, they are singing, they are celebrating their victory over the wrestlers. And this just infuriates Kamsa even more. And he thinks, yes, so since death is already here, I may as well enter the arena myself. So like this, Kamsa is thinking, these 2 personalities have come here to conquer me. So he instructs all his soldiers, go and attack Krishna and Balaram. Drive the 2 wicked sons of Vasudev out of this city. Not only that, confiscate the property of all of these Vrajavasis and arrest that fool Nanda Maharaj. Don't stop there. Kill Vasudev. Kill my father Ugrasena, along with all of the kings that are supporting him and who have come against us. So Kamsa was completely enraged and speaking like a madman. And Krishna couldn't tolerate it anymore. And as Kamsa gets up from his seat, taking up his sword and shield, Krishna climbs up to where Kamsa is on the dais. He just grabs him by the hair, knocks off his crown, throws him on the dais, and kills him. And after he kills him, Krishna drags Kamsa's dead body on the ground so that everybody could see. And Krishna announces to everyone, I have killed Kamsa. So now Kamsa's wives are bereaved. Kamsa's younger brothers are angry. So Shukadev Goswami says, these 8 brothers of Kamsa, who are all younger to Kamsa, they all attack the Lord. They want to avenge the death of their brother. And just as they run towards the Lord, Krishna just slays all of them. So not only is Kamsa dead, now his 8 younger brothers are also dead. So those who were supporting the Lord were celebrating and glorifying the Lord. But the wives of Kamsa and his brothers were grieving for the death of their husbands. And with tears in their eyes, they embrace their husbands as they are lying dead. And Krishna consoles them. He consoles the wives. He tells them everything will be okay, please don't worry. And then Krishna coronates Ugrasena, establishes him on the throne. So after consoling the royal ladies, Krishna arranges for the funeral rites of all those who had died. And then Krishna and Balaram go to see Vasudeva and Devaki. The first thing they do is touch their heads to the lotus feet of their parents. They offer obeisances to Vasudeva and Devaki. And Krishna says, in this conversation that he has with his parents, he says, I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you. I have caused a great deal of distress to you and to Devaki. Because Vasudeva and Devaki understood that this was the Supreme Lord who had come as their son. But at the same time, Krishna didn't want them to think that he was the Supreme Lord. So Krishna consoles them. He says, because of me and Balaram, you have always remained in anxiety. You could never enjoy our childhood or boyhood or youth. You missed all of that because your mood was to protect me. And in the process of protecting me and Balaram, you missed out on experiencing my childhood days, my boyhood days, my youth. So somehow because of fate, Krishna says, we could not live with you and enjoy you as our parents, as most children would enjoy with their parents. So like this, Krishna consoles Vasudeva and Devaki. And he said, I've not been able to take care of you. And so many days have been wasted. We've not been able to honor you. We've not been able to worship you because you were always in fear of Kamsa and we were being protected in Rajabhumi. So saying this, Krishna begs forgiveness from Vasudeva and Devaki. He says, please forgive me for not being able to serve you. But what to do? Kamsa is so cruel. So the parents are feeling a great deal of joy, hearing Krishna and Balaram speak to them in this way. They embrace Krishna and Balaram. They shed tears of joy and sorrow mixed together. They were overwhelmed that finally, after 11 years of separation, they were able to see Krishna and Balaram. So thus being comforted by his, thus after having comforted his parents in this way, Krishna asks them, what would you like me to do? And at that time, Vasudeva and Devaki say, look, you have lived in the village for so long. Now that you have come into the Kshatriya fold, you have to be educated properly. So like this, Vasudeva and Devaki request their lordships and send them to the Gurukul with Sandipani Muni. But meantime, Nanda Maharaj is there. So he has to bid farewell to Nanda Maharaj and to all the Gopa boys and all the cowherd men who had come there. So first he consoles his parents. Now he has to bid farewell to Nanda Maharaj. So they approach Nanda Maharaj, they embrace him. They tell him, you have taken care of us like parents, you and Mother Yashoda. You've maintained us, you've cared for us. You've loved us more than your own life, Krishna says. You've been our real mother and father. Anybody else would have abandoned their relatives, but you took on the protection of us, you've maintained us, you've protected us. And my dear father, I'm kindly requesting you to return to Brajabhumi. Both of us will come to see you soon. See, our relatives here are suffering in separation from us in Mathura. So we have to spend time with them, the time that we lost with our parents. So you can imagine the mood of the Brajavasis as Krishna is bidding farewell to them and saying, you please go back. I will come soon. I will come and visit you. So Nanda Maharaj and all the other Brajavasis were crying with affection and with sorrow because they didn't know if they could see the Lord ever again. They knew that they had delivered the two boys back to their rightful parents, Vasudeva and Devaki. So saying this, Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj also exchanged greetings, and Krishna and Balaram begin their new journey in Mathura, and all of the Brajavasis return back to Vrindavan. And after this, Krishna and Balaram enter the ashram of Sandipani Muni, and there they begin their new journey as students. And they accept Sandipani Muni as their spiritual master. They were very, very submissive, and Sandipani Muni teaches them the entire Vedas, along with all of the Upanishads. Not only this, he teaches them the 64 different arts, and it is said that Krishna and Balaram conquered each art in just one day. That is how proficient Krishna and Balaram were. All of these 64 arts. So Sandipani Muni carefully instructs the two lordships, and he was thinking, what great fortune I have in witnessing the growth of the two lordships. Of course, Sandipani Muni knew that these two boys were the personalities of Godhead themselves. And of course, later on, Sandipani Muni asks for a benediction, right? You have to go give Guru Dakshana after everything is done, after all of the schooling is done. And he asks for his son to be rescued. And therefore, Lord Krishna and Balaram go to the Lord of the ocean, and they ask, please return my Guru's son. You have actually seized my son. So at which the ocean replies, my dear Krishna, it was not I who abducted him, but it was actually a descendant of Panchajana named Diti in the form of a conch who actually abducted the son of your spiritual master. So the Lord then enters the ocean. He finds this Panchajana and kills him. But the Lord is looking for this boy inside this Panchajana's body, but he could not find him. So he went back to his chariot. He picks up the conch shell. This is the Panchajana conch shell that Janardana takes. And he proceeds to the capital of Yamaraj called Samyamani. And he tells him, I understand that my Guru's son is with you. So before he enters Yamaraj's palace, he blows that conch shell, the Panchajanya. And so Yamaraj greets Krishna and Balaram very nicely. He worships them and he says, what can I do for you, my dear Lord? And Krishna says, please return my spiritual master's son. I understand he's here with you. Please follow my instructions and give me back this boy without any further delay. And Yamaraj says, yes, immediately I will give you your guru's son. And saying this, Krishna and Balaram take the son of Sandipani Muni and deliver the son back to Sandipani Muni as Guru Dakshina. Saying, so all of this education is over now. They board their chariots and go back to Mathura. And the Mathura Vasis are overjoyed to see Krishna and Balaram after so many days. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.